This is a cold start on a 2017 Aprilia Tuono V4 1100 factory with an SC Project CRT exhaust and an Aprilia Race ECU flash. What a beautiful sound. And what a beautiful machine. Now, let's get rolling. Hi, I'm Chad, and welcome to another Motovlog in the twilight hours. In this video, I'm again aboard my 2017 Aprilia Tuono V4 1100 factory, and I'm going to show you what modifications have been made to this bike. First, I'm going to show you the modifications that the previous owners made to the bike, and then I'll show you the modifications that I've made to the bike myself. Should be a fun little informative one, especially if you're looking for modifications to make to your Tuono V4 or any other motorcycle you might own. I feel the modifications that I've made and that the previous owners made are pretty tasteful, mostly just help with the functionality and feel of the bike, and of course the soundtrack. The sound of a V4 pushing exhaust gases through an SC Project CRT exhaust. Oh, and did I forget to mention that this video is taking place in virtual reality? I must have. This video is fully produced in virtual reality. There's only a representation of what reality would look like under these conditions. But enough tomfoolery. How about we find a place to stop so I can show you the mods on my bike? Let's go. And here she is, my beautiful 2017 Tuono V4 factory. So first, let's go over the modifications that the previous owners made. There are not many. The first is the tail tidy that we see here with LED turn signals. Cleans up the tail section, looks quite nice. Other modifications: tires. These are not the Super Corsas that the Tuono factory comes standard with. These are actually the Pirelli Diablo Rosso 3s that are the standard tire for the Tuono V4 RR. They're pretty decent tires, not nearly as sticky as the Super Corsas, at least from what I've heard. I've never ridden Super Corsas before, but the rear's about done on this, and when it is, I'm gonna take both the tires off and put on a set of Super Corsas and find out for myself. But the rear tire is still the 255/17 tire size. That is the standard for the Super Corsas on the Tuono factory. The Tuono RR has a 190/55/17 rear tire. This is a 255. And then of course we have the most obvious modification to the bike if the engine is running, and that is the SC Project CRT slip-on exhaust. Now, of course, being that we're in virtual reality and create our own rules, exit valves and catalytic converters are not required here, as any slip-on for the Tuono deletes both of these, except for the Akrapovic system that you can buy from your dealer. I believe that maintains some sort of a high-flow cat, as well as the exit valve or an exit valve. This has neither of those. Now, to run a pipe on these bikes, because they're so free-flowing and delete so much stuff, you need an ECU flash, and my bike has Aprilia's Race ECU flash installed by the dealer. And that rounds out all of the modifications that the previous owner made to this motorcycle before I became its owner. So before we get started on my modifications, if you've seen my modifications video for my Tuono V4 RR that I had before this bike, you'll notice that these are basically all of the same modifications. And that's because I was very happy with what I had done to that bike. And with the Olin suspension and steering stabilizer meeting all the needs that the Tuono RR wasn't, I felt that the only modifications I needed to make were the ones that I made to that bike in the first place. Starting with this Woodcraft GP shift lever. Now what this does is flips the shift linkage. It normally runs straight here with the arm on the shifter down here. For standard shift, this simply moves the linkage up top. So It maintains the factory push and pull directions for the quick shifter and auto blipper, so they work as normal. Now, I've been running GP shift for basically the entire time I've been riding sport bikes, so it's always the first modification that I make. And when I bought this bike, I just took this lever right off of my Tuono RR and installed it on this one. Coming over to the other side of the foot controls, this bike also has a dropped brake lever peg thing. This is a piece from AF1 Racing that I purchased, and this is just a Woodcraft peg that goes on it. But basically, it makes it so that you can adjust the angle at which your foot makes contact with the rear brake. I'm a tall guy, I've got big feet, so this is very helpful in bringing it lower. The stock toe peg for this is eccentric, but not to much degree. This is a full inch of an extension, so I was able to get a lot more adjustment out of it and match the look to the other side of the bike, which I really like as well. In addition to those, we have Stomp Grip clear tank grips, essential if you don't want to be slipping and sliding around on your bike in jeans when you're trying to grip the tank. They're a bit dirty right now, so please excuse that, but with a wet paper towel and a couple minutes, all this black dye for my jeans will rub right off. Moving back on up here, we have Renthal soft compound Superbike grips. I love the feeling of these. They dampen a bit of vibration, but are still plenty sticky, provide good feedback as well. I also run these on my Daytona 675R race bike. So probably the most noticeable thing about my handlebars, these are the CRG Aero bar end mirrors mounted on Rhino Moto combo bar end mirror mount / sliders. These mirrors are fantastic and provide a much wider field of view than the standard mirrors do. And then to clean up the look, I simply bought some blocking screws on eBay that fill in the holes where the stock mirrors were. So outside of that, the only other modifications that I've made to the bike are removing the servo motor, operated the X-up valve, which was disabled by the race ECU flash, so no need to even have it in place, and freed up a little bit of flow for the radiator, keeping the bike's cooling system running at a lower temperature. And then walking back over to the left-hand side, you'll notice there's a big gap right here, and that is where the Evap canister used to go. I deleted that part in a video that I will put up in a card on the screen here, and that is a part that has a high rate of failure, causing issues with the gas tank, the bike not running when at operating temperature, and it also improves airflow through the radiator, again keeping things cooler. And the last thing that I've done is flushed the front brake fluid. Running through my front brake system is Motool's RBF 660 racing brake fluid. Doesn't fade as much, works great with the stock lines and calipers, which are absolutely fantastic on this bike. But yeah, so pretty much all the same modifications that I had made to my Tuono V4 RR, and I'm loving it. The only other thing that I think I might change at some point on this bike, aside from the tires, are the turn signals. Seen some cool flush or slim mount turn signals that only come out to about here that are LED or CCFL that look really sweet. So might pick up a pair of those at some point, but outside of that, I'm really happy with the bike the way it is. One other thing that maybe you'd consider a modification, but just involved the stock parts on this bike. The suspension has been set up for me by Suspension Matters. Had that done at Buttonwillow Raceway Park the first time I took this bike to the track. Bike feels pretty good. I'm thinking it's still a little soft for me. I've come pretty close to bottoming out the front end on the brakes, so might need a little bit of fine tuning there, especially once I get the super courses on it. But for now, she works pretty great and she looks amazing. And with that, let's get rolling. Dash animation never gets old, and neither does the startup of the V4 through the SE Project exhaust. And with this view, I bid thee adieu. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you gave me a gentle little click of the like button. Helps to get my Tuono videos and other content recommended to other motorcycling enthusiasts such as yourselves. Let's share the passion and knowledge of motorcycling with the world. Consider subscribing if you'd like to see more Tuono V4 content and other motorcycling related videos. I also own a 2012 Triumph Daytona 675R race bike, as well as a 2009 Yamaha WR 250X Supermoto that I like to clown around on and pop wheelies in first gear with. Hee. Drop a comment below. What modifications have you made to your Tuono V4 or other motorcycle? And while why have you made those? Let me know below. Also, let me know if you liked or disliked this video, and tell me why down in the comments. Appreciate hearing your feedback. But with that, I'll hope to catch you in the next one, and until then, later.